On this week's episode, the maniacal Joker has returned. It's the biggest week in pro wrestling. And who do we think will win the Stanley Cup? All this and more as we reach our next stop. Oh, the wrong one. All this and more. Yeah, that's it. That is right. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. See, I'm getting everything mixed up now. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, the Lakers Fast Break, and the Inside Sports Fantasy Football Podcast, telling you thanking you so much for listening to all of our great programs. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. I was about to say goon. He's our own hockey goon of Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out everything that he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, Topicocalypse, and his awesome book, Congratulations, You Suck. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Ready to hit the ice, my friend?
Yeah, hockey season's starting finally. Just trying to get in there and watch it when I can. But yeah, I'm excited.
As am I, my friend. Again, the NHL season has gone underway. The first games are already started out there for the NHL season. And at the end of the podcast, we're going to go ahead and share our thoughts on who will raise the Stanley Cup once again. Plus, also, we're going to be talking about some great things when it comes to Call of Duty Mobile. It debuted on the mobile charts this week. We'll tell you how well it's doing and the general thoughts and synopsis of what's going on with Call of Duty Mobile. Plus, also as well, Rob McCallum is back on the show. He's going to have a little segment that he calls Off the Cuff with his thoughts on some of the goings on in the pop culture universe. And also as well, it's the biggest week in pro wrestling. And Maddox and Thunder Cookies, the guys from the Heavyweight Chumps, which you got to check out their podcast, not only the Heavyweight Chumps, but also as well, RadioMemphis.com, because they now have a 1-hour radio show on Radio Memphis. So you got to check that out as well. They're stopping by to talk about the biggest week in pro wrestling with All Elite Wrestling versus NXT, the season premiere of Raw, and finally the Friday debut episode of SmackDown, going back once again on broadcast wrestling as WWE returns to broadcast television once again. So we're going to talk about that, some of the shows we like so far, some of the things that need to be improved upon, some of the things that didn't quite work out so well. So we're going to hit all those topics this week because it is, for the first time in a long time, the biggest week in pro wrestling. But first, my friend, it's out finally this weekend. A big moment for Warner Brothers and DC as the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix hits theaters this weekend. A lot of pub on it, a lot of reviews. We've talked about it already in advance. A lot of people are worried about it because of the potential themes that are that run alongside with the movie. There's been some warnings from law enforcement, military, but also a lot of interest, and it could also garner an October box office record as well.
Yeah, it's weird because I actually thought that this movie was out already after all the reviews were coming out. So I didn't know that it still had not been released yet. I've been reading a lot about it, and I personally don't believe that it's going to cause, mass shootings like the Dark Knight did. But I mean, what do you think that all the hysteria is justified over it?
Well, I think if there were no action taken or warnings or things of that nature taken, I think there is always that possibility. I think now because there's a heightened awareness by especially law enforcement that's out there, security has been added at several theaters around the country that have been upped as far as the safety of all consumers that are going to the theaters this weekend. I really think that we hopefully, and keep your fingers crossed, man, I really think that it's going to be a lot safer than what it would have been had there not been this heightened awareness of what's going on with the Joker film. Again, there are themes in the Joker. There are themes within the Joker film itself that people are really worried about, I guess, survivors of gun violence and other individuals, lawmakers, again, government officials have all been worried about this film coming out. Ones that have seen it in advance have also expressed their concern. But again, as a movie, critics have also weighed in, for the most part, some very stellar reviews. Oscar buzz already for Todd Phillips, the director, and of course, Joaquin Phoenix, who plays another iteration of the Joker, which I thought, yes, it's being done, but I didn't think it could be done again at the level of what we've seen with Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson, and of course, to an extent, Mark Hamill, who have played the Joker so brilliantly over the years. So I ask you, my friend, it's headed for a big debut. With all that aside, it's headed for a big debut. $85 million or roughly thereabouts. With all that said and done, and the hype is there, do you think could be ending up, after all said and done, a big win for Warner Brothers?
Oh, I think so. But here's what's going to happen if the film is overly successful. They're going to go against what Todd Phillips wants, and they're going to try to incorporate that into their universe, or they're going to try to make more films in that Joker universe, because that's what Warner Brothers has always done.
You're right, because he has said repeatedly that this is going to be a one-off, but if it is a major success, the temptation might be just too great. I mean, trying to shoehorn his Joker into the rest of the DC universe, especially the fact that it looks like it's set either in the late 70s or early 80s, would be, I don't even think that it would fit well. This version of the Joker would fit well within the confines of, let's say, Wonder Woman 84, because that takes place in 1984. I still don't think that would work from there. I think you're right. It should be left alone as a standalone product, as a standalone movie. But the temptation, especially if this does as well as people are hoping, or as people are projecting anyways, then it looks like this could be something that could be too great of a temptation for Warner Brothers not to leave alone.
Yeah, because they're still looking for that spark. I mean, they kind of found it with I don't want to say Shazam, but I mean a couple of their Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Yeah. Like, yeah, they've kind of found the spark. But if the Joker is extremely successful, then who's to say they're not going to try to incorporate that into the DC universe and try to get, Joaquin to come back and play Joker in another movie, or maybe do another hero back in the era that the Joker film takes place. It's not. I don't think it's safe to say they won't try to exploit it in some way.
It's funny, my friend, because I want to say that this is a total 180 that I've taken. Now I want to go see the film. I'm going to go see the film. And in fact, Jason Ton Feinberg, coming up on the Monday show, is going to review the film for us. And hopefully I will have seen it again. Hopefully I will have seen it by then myself. But we've gone from a point where we didn't want to see the movie. And I know you probably still don't want to see the movie, but I would now want to see the movie. After those initial trailers just didn't give us the good vibes, but all the hubbub, all the news, all the reviews, now I'm really on board with it. But it's interesting. The one with a lot of good buzz, originally at the time, Shazam, bombed at the theaters. It really didn't do well at all, which was a shame, because a lot of people truly enjoyed that film for so many reasons. That one didn't do well, but the Joker looks like it's going to go ahead and at least recoup some of those losses.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like it has a lot of buzz going around it. And it's weird because I don't think it's the marketing that's really done great for this. It's the fear that the movie has created that has caused all the hype, and it's made it so, because even, as a teacher, I have my students asking me why everyone's so worked up about this movie, and that's making them want to go see it. So I don't necessarily think it's the trailers or the posters that had anything to do with it, as much as the fear that's coming with it, and then the all over the place reviews that it got from IGN, Variety, and all those places.
Well, because it came out so early, it almost, for instance, we talked about sometimes video games that come out for reviews at least a month and a half in advance. The Uncharted games, they always seem to come out well in advance of their expected release date. And this seemed to happen here because a lot of people were able to go ahead and review it based off of what they saw at the previous film festivals. I think it was Toronto or Venice, one of the film festivals that the Joker was shown in. That's when these reviewers could go ahead and start talking about the film. And because for the most part, they were stellar, a lot of these individuals got to go ahead and publish their thoughts right away, but also suggest as well the themes, the heavy items that are contained within the film. They got to go ahead and talk about that as well. And I think that's what got people started. That's what got the buzz initiated. That's what got the concern raised as far as, well, not just from parents, not just from gun violence victims, but the government and law enforcement as well. So now you have all these entities are creating a lot of the stir that are very concerned, and in some cases rightly so, but also it has created a lot of buzz for a lot of individuals like you and I, and a lot of other people who say, you know what, wow, this is creating a lot of interest, not only Oscar buzz, but also a lot of buzz in the news. I think I got to go ahead and check it out. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why it has perpetuated into a film that we thought originally when we saw the first trailer was just going to be a 1 week and done. It's out of theaters, or a film that we really didn't have many expectations for, into a film that we could think by the end of 2019 could be one of the biggest success stories of the year.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something in the superhero universe, which is not really something you ever thought would happen or critics really believed would ever happen. And the reception that the film was getting still amazes me. It makes me wonder, are we going to see more attempts like this from Warner Brothers, or even is Marvel going to try to make something like this, find their most, fringe and insane villain and do like an opera on mental health, much like the Joker is? What kind of films is this film going to yield?
Well, I could see some stuff that Sony, which you and I have talked about in the Spider-Verse, Carnage, and some others, maybe having possibly this type of film. I mean, we thought, Venom was an R-rated film that we thought could realistically be in that type of mold. But again, it's not. Again, it's now done so well financially, Sony couldn't resist but to make a sequel and now make a whole universe, or at least add it on to the Spider-Verse in a very substantial fashion. But you have these other properties like we've talked about before, Carnage and some others, that you may want to do some one-offs, R-rated or otherwise, that go ahead and touch on these sensitive subjects that can create maybe that kind of buzz. I don't see Marvel doing it per se, unless they do maybe like they would, a Deadpool or something else, an offshoot R-rated film that they would not produce under the Disney Marvel banner per se. They would maybe do it on one of their other film studios that they could go ahead and do it. They could realistically still do it under Fox as well.
Yeah, they could, but then again, what happens if the movie is crazy successful? Of course, they're going to want to incorporate it into the MCU, which is why, Warner Brothers is going to be really setting the standard here on what happens to movies like this, because anything, as we've seen with, the whole Sony Disney thing, if a movie is successful, people are going to want a bigger chunk of the profits, and that's what will happen if this movie is crazy successful. Warner Bros. Is going to want to make more money off of it as much as they possibly can. And if they do that, then Marvel will see the trend, and who knows what could happen from there.
You're right. Who knows what can happen from there? But I will say the Joker is looking to do very well at the box office. With any luck and with a lot of interest and good word of mouth, it could hit $100 million this weekend at the box office, which you and I, when it first came out, as far as the trailers are concerned, had no, we just thought it would have no inkling to come even close to that. We were very down on it. I know I've changed my mind. We'll still see what you think later on down the line. I know it's going to be a really even harder twist for you to go ahead and maybe watch it. I'm sure you'll watch it at some point in time, but I know for both of us, it's something that, at least from the point that we first started, it's a long way from where we once were. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Joker. I can't believe I'm saying those words almost out of my mouth. If it was time from when the first trailer started, it's just incredible to say. But yes, I am looking forward to seeing the Joker this weekend at the box office. And it's expected to even get close to or surpass to become the all-time box office champion for a weekend in October, which would be great news for Warner Brothers and the Joker. And again, it's just a matter of time if we'll see down the road whether or not Warner Brothers can leave this as a one-off, or if the Joker is just so good, they won't be able to resist. What are your thoughts out there on the Joker? Please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. You can also just let us know. You can also send us a message on your thoughts on whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, or whether you plan to see it on Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Humanica Media, on Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. Well, coming up next, right after the break, Rob McCallum is going off the cuff on what he likes to talk about and what's coming. He's going off the cuff on the latest news and information, on the latest news and trends in pop culture. And then right after that, Josh and I are going to be talking about Call of Duty Mobile. And is it doing well? Is it something you should get into? We'll talk about Call of Duty Mobile coming up after the break as well. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the show. It's the PCC Multiverse. Thanks again to Rob McCallum for going off the cuff on this week's PCC Multiverse. Looking forward to him in future episodes going off the cuff as well. Well, my friend, Call of Duty came out this week with a mobile game that's just rocking the socks off a lot of people, except if you're Nintendo, which somehow is still doing very well in and of itself. So I ask you, my friend, reports say that it actually has surpassed 20 million downloads already and garnered over $2 million in microtransactions. Now, it is just like all these other free-to-play mobile games. It's designed to go ahead and suck you in, but it's also designed as well to make you pay.
Yeah, so I mean, you know my thoughts on Call of Duty. I honestly didn't even know this was a thing, but it sounds like this is mobile gaming, right? We talked about this with Mario Kart. Like, this is mobile gaming. You put an idea out there, you hook people in with the the basic gameplay and concept of it, and then you hit them with all the microtransactions, and that's what it sounds like this game is. Even so, like, you go look at something like Elder Scrolls Blades, right? And that's full of microtransactions as well. That's what mobile gaming is. Mobile gaming is a platform for, I guess, gambling, you would say, and then charging people more money than the game is worth. That's why it's best to stick to console and PC gaming, because mobile gaming it's a swap meet. And I don't know if this game is fun. Maybe people do like it. I don't know what people have heard about it, but if it's racking up more than $2 million, I'm curious what the audience is. Do you think that it's younger kids, or do you think that it's adults playing it, or like a healthy mixture of both?
I'm not sure if it's a healthy mixture of both. I believe kids are playing it. I could pretty much guarantee you that a lot of kids are playing it. When they're not playing when they're not playing Mario Kart Tour from Nintendo, they're playing this game, and somehow they're finding room somewhere for Pokemon Go and the Harry Potter mobile game as well, I'm sure. At least my kids are anyways. But I will say this, that these free-to-play mobile games with all these name brands attached to them, it's just a matter of how good they are to entice that individual to go ahead and give it a try, and to keep them enticed and entranced to go ahead and spend money on it. I know we've talked about the success of Mario Kart Tour. This looks like it's going to be extremely successful as well. And the reason why is because that it's garnering good reviews too. Is on top of that, I know we've had issues before with Call of Duty games on other platforms. Like, remember, they were on the PS Vita at one time with a horrible game that a lot of people would rather soon forget. But with this mobile game that's out, they did a really quality job. It looks like, and Activision has really done a number this time, with a lot of people saying that it is very comparable and even better in some cases than PUBG Mobile, which is considered by many the best of the shooter mobile games that are on a mobile platform. So it's right there in the numbers. I mean, everybody's getting geared up for Call of Duty Mobile. It's just so interesting to see how that's taking place. But this is now going to be a nonstop thing, my friend. We've now seen a major entity for Nintendo and Mario coming to platform in both Super Mario Run and now Mario Kart Tour. We've now seen Bethesda dip its toes in the water with Elder Scrolls Blades, and now we see Call of Duty from Activision. I mean, we're just going to go ahead and see mobile versions of every major platform. Do you think it's every major platform coming over to mobile, and you're going to see all these different familiar IPs now having a mobile version in and of itself? Do you see this ever stopping? Because I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
No, and I honestly think that it's only going to be multiplayer games. Like you see, Final Fantasy, right, made the jump to mobile not too long ago, and they have game, like you can play the original hits, but most of the stuff that they have out that people like to play are the ones filled with microtransactions. It really is that mobile gaming is a swap meet. That's all it is. It's for developers to make money. They spend all this money on these big AAA games, and then they throw something on mobile just for the sake of profiting. It has nothing to do with quality gaming when it comes to being on a mobile platform. It's all about how much money they can make. Yeah, maybe they'll try to make it. They need to obviously make it good so people pay for it. But like, look at Mario Kart. It's only for making money. That's all that is. And it sounds like same thing with Call of Duty, same thing with Fortnite. Like all these games exist on mobile platforms just to make money, and that's not gaming. That's just robbery, it feels.
Well, how fast do you think one of the major players in the console industry that you and I have complained about over the recent months, aka 2K, will throw a major property like either Red Dead Redemption, GTA, or even Borderlands, which I think is right now the most susceptible to being on a mobile platform in that type of fashion, coming out sooner rather than later?
I don't think like as far as Borderlands goes, like they did port the Borderlands 2 onto PS Vita, and I think that there's a difference between a port onto a mobile platform and a mobile.
Well, let's say a mobile version of Borderlands.
Okay, so for a mobile version of Borderlands, I don't think that would happen because Randy Pitchford already has enough hate being thrown at him on the daily. I don't think that that brand could really endure going through the negative publicity that would come with loot boxes and stuff like that. So I almost like, I see why they do it. I don't think that it's worth the time and money to invest in making a mobile game unless you're going to make money off of it. But I see maybe side scroller, we have side scroller versions of Assassin's Creed. We have smaller versions of these games coming out, but I don't see like a lot of bigger franchises, like Halo or Gears or any of these creating mobile games in the vein that we see them now. Maybe they will, but I don't think that the fans of those series, this is what they want. Whereas Call of Duty is already a cash shoot anyway, so is Fortnite. So it's just, are we going to see these bigger games, these more story-oriented games hit mobile platforms? I don't know. I hope not, but I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of like the multiplayer type ones. Who knows? Maybe a Destiny one will be next.
That could be a definite possibility. I know Destiny 2 has seen a resurgence in popularity with the release of new DLC, so a lot of people are getting back into Destiny 2, and now that Bungie has its freedom from Activision and from Microsoft and is wanting to do its own thing right now, Destiny 2 is looking a lot better than it did, let's say, this time last year. So it's a good sign for them, but I could see them going onto a mobile platform with a Destiny version for the mobile audience. But I'm going to have to disagree with you, my friend. I think there could be a day where there could be a Borderlands or something from the 2K library that goes on a mobile platform, because 2K and microtransactions, they're really heavily entwined. And as far as Microsoft, I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility to see a Halo go on there at some point in time down the road. I think it's something that they may not contemplate sooner, but I think that's something that they'll contemplate later. I think it's something that they could do, seeing how well PUBG, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Mario Kart, they're all doing well. Elder Scrolls is doing pretty good as well. So all these different entities on mobile lead to a bigger enticement for these other game makers, for these other publishers that haven't yet put their IPs onto a mobile platform in any real form or fashion, as far as from a mobile phone standpoint, with these free-to-play games that are not exactly free-to-play, because they want you to really get to go ahead and get into the microtransaction part of it. But I will say this. Yes, the industry as a whole, I think, is leaning in that direction. You're going to see a lot more familiar IPs go onto mobile platforms. Which ones make it, which ones don't, it all depends on the publishers and it all depends on the developers developing these games and making them worthwhile for the mobile owners. But even if fans out there, like in the instance of Mario Kart World, Mario Kart Tour, that a lot of people are upset with the microtransactions and the $5 a month paywall that you have to go through in order to advance any further in the game or get options that really are enticing you without having to grind for 1,000,000 hours. So I will say that you're going to see, even with the backlash from that, I still say you're going to see a lot more of these IPs go into it. And I'm sorry, Josh, I think we're going to have this conversation further along down the road every 6 months with a new big IP going on to mobiles at that point in time.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it just depends on how these ones out right now do, and how these big companies can handle the backlash that will obviously come with it. So I guess, yeah, we'll have this conversation later on. We'll see who's right.
We'll see who's right. And as I hold up my phone, I'm just going to tell you, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see your favorite IP come to mobile in a free-to-play format sometime soon. What are your thoughts out there on Call of Duty Mobile? Are you excited it's out? Are you excited to go ahead and play it? Are you excited to go ahead and play the game? Are you playing it already? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, coming up next, Manic and Thunder Cookies from the Heavyweight Chumps. They're stopping by to talk about the biggest week so far in wrestling, with AEW versus NXT, WWE Raw, their season premiere, and also WWE SmackDown coming once again to broadcast television. We're going to talk about all that and more coming up right after the break. And then after, as we close out the show, it's number 71 to 80 on our top 200 video games of all time. And also, Josh and I are going to talk about who's going to win the NHL Stanley Cup at the end of the season. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. I want to thank so much Maddox and Thunder Cookies from the Heavyweight Chumps for being part of the show. Also, Rob McCallum from Rob McCallum Films as well. If you need a listing of where we're at, because we're being played all around the world, 7 days a week, just check our listings today, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. My friend, you've got a great thing going on with Congratulations, You Suck. Tell people out there how they can get a copy of that awesome book.
BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, BookLocker, and it's available in both physical and ebook formats. So pick up a copy today. Appreciate it.
All right, that is Congratulations, You Suck. You heard it right there. It's available wherever you get your books. Well, my friend, let's quickly run down the games that are coming up in number 71 to 80 on our top 200 on our list of the top 200 video games of all time. This is a fun one right here. Get ready for this 10. At number 80, NBA Jam. Boom shakalaka, baby. Number 79, Metal Storm for the NES. Number 78, Halo 3. Do you still have that helmet, my friend, from the limited edition? Number 77, God of War 2. Number 76, one of my all-time favorites and a truly incredible game. I think it's the best Elder Scrolls. Sorry, Skyrim. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. 75 is Celeste, which is an outstanding game in and of itself. And I hope everybody, all these recent game enthusiasts and gamers out there have had a chance to play it, because it's been on several platforms and free to get, based off free for a lot of gamers out there to get as well. Number 74 is Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. I've always told you before in the past, my friend, since it's come out, that I think this game is my number one game as far as the best game I've ever played from beginning to end, as far as a quality standpoint, from storyline, multiplayer, single player campaign, the type of challenge that you go through, and the narrative that you run through it. I think from beginning to end, this is the best gaming experience I've ever had. That's Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. And looky here at number 70, that's 74, Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. Number 73, looky here, the original Uncharted Drake's Fortune, which is truly a fun game, and how I first fell in love with the actual series itself. As Nathan Drake right behind me is looking at the standee. And I'll tell you what, it's just a great time, a lot of fun. It does have its flaws compared to the other series, but you know what? It's still a great time indeed, and it especially gets you involved with the story as far as from an adventuring standpoint. And I can't wait for finally, because Uncharted got another director. I don't know how many this is. I don't know what they're up to. I'll probably have to look it up someday, just before the movie actually does come out, with Tom Holland's Uncharted, and I'll be so glad that when that finally comes to the screen. That's number 73, Uncharted Drake Fortune. Number 72 is Strider Arcade, and number 71 is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That's a great game as well. So my friend, great list we got here. What are your thoughts on this list from 71 to 80?
So NBA Jam, every kid has played this at some point.
Boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka in the arcade. I remember that sound, and I know Midway used to make some good games, but I don't know what they're up to these days. Halo 3 definitely
it's
something.
Called bankruptcy, my friend.
Bankruptcy, yeah, that makes sense. Halo 3 definitely something I've had a lot of experience with. I remember after the game came out, when I worked at Best Buy, I'd come home and everyone I worked with would be playing it, so we'd spend hours playing the multiplayer game, and I would play with Big Dog and Brian Kane and those guys. We'd play the 4-player campaign, just chucking grenades at each other while we were trying to get through the campaign, or we'd go back and play all the skulls. Like Halo 3 had more replayability than any game I have ever owned in my life, and I still love going back to that one. God of War 2 was fun, so I just recently started playing through the God of War games, and I just have to play the third one. I've played all of them, but I remember I played God of War, then I did all the PSP games, and then I played God of War 2, and it's fun. The combat flows a lot better than the first God of War and all the PSP games, which I guess is to be expected, but it's a great game, good sequel. By the time the third one rolled around, Kratos' whining does kind of get old, but it's a fun game. Elder Scrolls Oblivion. So this is actually one of the first. I did play Morrowind, but I played it after Oblivion. So Oblivion is actually the first Elder Scrolls game I played from start to finish, and I loved every minute of this game. And I remember, the starting out in the sewers, you're the prisoner, and then I remember the Oblivion gates. They were so hard to close. So a lot of the times, I had a decent set of armor, so I remember I would just go up there, I would trigger the thing that closes it, and then I would just run. I would try to avoid fighting anybody I can. I just try to flee, and I remember doing that a lot in this game. Like when I was fighting people and I couldn't beat them, I'd climb up on rocks and just shoot arrows at them. So I love Oblivion. It's a very quirky game, and it does still hold up pretty well, and I'm curious to see what those guys who are working on the modded version of it come up with. Celeste, great game. Love the soundtrack. Great narrative on mental health. If you ever get a chance to play it, if you haven't, I would definitely recommend it. Uncharted 3, I know this is the one where he's a kid, right? Or they have the flashbacks of him as a kid. That one was fun. I don't actually know where I would rate them. I remember Uncharted 1 was really fun. Uncharted 3 was cool. I don't remember much about Uncharted 2, but I also remember really enjoying Uncharted 4. So
Uncharted 2 is of them widely considered the best. For me, it is neck and neck with Uncharted 3 as far as the best games of all time. I just like the ending a little bit more on Uncharted 3. I should say the final boss fight, I should say.
Uncharted 3 was the one that was riddled with development issues, right? Yeah, I remember reading about that. But yeah, no, Uncharted is a great franchise. I honestly I love all of them. I'm gonna go back and play them again one day, but they're great games. Then that leaves us with Knights of the Old Republic. Is this the
This is the original.
Okay, yeah, this one was fun. This was the one made by BioWare, right?
Yes, for the Xbox.
Yes. Okay, so I do remember this one. This one was a really great game. It kind of got me into. I remember picking up Mass Effect and really hoping that it was like this game, and it didn't really disappoint. So
You can even play that on your mobile now.
you can, yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't think it has the microtransactions, but a lot of yeah. I also you can play Jade Empire. I think is the other BioWare game. It's out on mobile. But yeah, great game. Anything on here that you are particularly fond of?
Well, as I told you before, Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception is probably the best game I've ever played, period. Uncharted Drake's Fortune, that started all as far as a great narrative and got me hooked into the Uncharted series. NBA Jam is a lot of fun. Elder Scrolls 4 Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is not far behind in my list of all-time favorite games. It's in my top 5 as well. I've played over 150 hours of that. So, yes, it's a great time had by all. Some great choices. God of War 2, still a great hack and slash games. Still a great hack and slash game. So this is a great list that we've got here. Probably one of our best 10 that you and I have experienced so far. And we've still got more to go in our countdown of the top 200 video games of all time. If you want to check out the list because it's already finished and done, the sets of 10 are already up. You want to check it out today, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. You can check it out in its entirety right there from number 1 to 200. Or you can just keep checking with us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos and PCC Multiverse. All right, my friend, it's been a great episode. Again, thanks to Mannix and Thunder Cookies from the Heavyweight Chumps and Rob McCallum for appearing on the show. Any last thoughts on the way out? Because NHL season is here. I need your picks, my friend. East, West, and who's going all the way for the Stanley Cup?
I don't know. It's hard to say with the Eastern Conference. The Lightning always gets so close every year, and so do the Capitals. So I think that this is going to be the season the Lightning actually goes, takes the Stanley Cup. But if we look over on the West here, the Predators the Predators are in the same arena as the Lightning were a couple seasons ago. They keep getting closer and closer, and eventually they're going to get there. But how do you feel about the Sharks, man? Because they've been in the mix for a very long time, and they've kind of gotten to the golden spot, but they haven't quite taken it home.
Well, I think you just said the word right there, golden, because San Jose is going to be looking up to the Golden Knights once again. I think the Golden Knights have fortified their team even more this year. I think they came off a season where they were okay, but they had some bumps in the road. Again, their first year was truly outstanding, a lot more than what people expected. But I think a lot of people are expecting some big things from the Golden Knights. I think in their division, they will outclass San Jose. And I'm here in Vegas. I know the hype train has already started. I know a lot of people are just loving it. The sales of the tickets are off the chain. Try to get a decent price on the ticket here for Golden Knights, and you'll be lucky indeed because the prices are outrageous already. The show within a show as far as the game is concerned here at the T-Mobile Arena is just incredible. So I'm going to say with all that and the fact that the team is really solid on all phases of the game, I really did some checking into it. And yes, I am kind of a homer when I'm saying this, but I think the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to be a matchup in the Stanley Cup for me. But before I announce my winner, my friend, San Jose, not quite enough. I don't think they have enough horses right. I don't think they have enough as far as the defense is concerned to match up well with the Golden Knights. But I want to hear your thoughts finally when it comes down to it. Your thoughts on who's going to take it all the way in the Stanley Cup.
I think it's going to be the King. Sorry, not the Kings. I want to say the Lightning this year. The oh, sorry, give me a second.
Life's most embarrassing moment there.
I think it's going to be the Lightning this year. They have come very close every season, and they are always on the brink of getting that win. I don't think the Golden Knights are going to be able to do it this season because they've come close, and like their first season was really great. But I also feel like we've had enough teams like the Kings and the Oilers, the Wild, the Blackhawks. Like these are teams that were once great, and they have spent enough time on the bottom, and now they're ready to climb back up the ladder. So I feel like nothing is going to go the way that we think it's going to go this season. But I could be wrong. I like to believe in the idea of the wild card, but we'll see, man. I think once November rolls around, we'll have a better idea of what is to come, and we can kind of recap after that.
You got it, my friend. We'll recap, but as we head on out, I think for me, who will be holding high the Stanley Cup? I think it'll be here in Vegas, my friend, because I think the Golden Knights will be holding it up for the first time after only 3 years in existence. I think they'll be holding it up for all to see. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.